session for Reverse the Red Day week. We are so excited that you're here joining us today. Today we have a fantastic set of examples of species recovery efforts to share with you for our Reversing the Red for Species Meet the Accelerators session. I just wanted to thank all of our Reverse the Red Executive Committee organizations, including our co-chairs, the IUCN Species Survival Commission and the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. I also wanted to thank our organizations that have given financial support to Reverse the Red at this time. And they really make all of the work that we do, all of the collaboration, and all of these webinars possible. So thank you all so much for that. I would love to start with just a quick video that showcases a little bit more about what Reverse the Red is all about.
In a powerful show of support for nature, nearly every government in the world united behind the CBD's sweeping biodiversity plan for life on Earth. They committed to halting the extinction of threatened animal, plant, and fungi species. And in an historic first, they also committed to helping those species recover, so that the life we share our planet with can not only survive, but thrive. Making these goals a reality will take all of us working together. Reverse the Red is supporting governments, conservation experts, and communities around the world as they join forces to activate tried and tested tools and tie global efforts to local expertise. All in a coordinated effort to assess, plan, and act for wildlife. Together, we can save species from extinction. Together, we can secure our planet's future. Together, we can reverse the red.
So again, thank you all so much for joining us. I am now going to turn you over into the capable hands of Kathyune. And Kathyune, I just want to thank you so much for being here from the Columbus Zoo and for the Columbus Zoo's support of the Reverse the Red Accelerator Award, which you'll hear a little bit more about the Species Pledge and the Accelerator Award in a minute. But just that support means so much to us and all of the accelerators of species recovery around the world.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of this. It is so great to be here with the 40 plus of us who are in this room right now. And I'm so excited to hear from today's accelerators. It is a joy just to be able to be part of something that it elevates the need for innovation and new thoughts and new ideas in this critical time. I think we can all agree that conservation urgency has been present and is present now as much as ever and only increasing. And so I think it's these bold new solutions and willingness to try new things and be creative and be innovative that will really turn the tide in the direction that we want it to go. So I've been overjoyed to be able to be a part of this accelerator grant because of its focus on innovation and capacity building and moving beyond traditional funding models to be able to provide a holistic approach to championing good ideas in conservation. And so enough from me from now. You don't need to hear my thoughts. I would much rather hear these accelerators. So we're going to have 3 of them speaking today, or 2 of them speaking today. And then if you have questions, as it says in the chat, please use the Q&A function, and then we will moderate that discussion at the end of this session so that we can have a conversation together about what we're about to hear. Sound good? All right, so the first up is Nora. Nora, are you ready to go?
Yes, I'm ready to go. Just one second. Um, right. I am sharing. Can you see my presentation?
Looks good.
Great. So, this cute little animal is called the Bavarian pine vole, Microtus bavaricus. And it's a very special species because it was discovered only in 1962 and then not seen for 60 years. And because of that, it had the status of extinct or lost in Germany. And it was a great challenge for us to work on this species because it has only ever been reported in the Alpine region. And since I am working for the Alpensee as species conservation officer at Innsbruck in Austria, this species is very important to us. So let me give you a quick overview about the species and about our project to save it. So, sorry, this is in German. This is the location of the Alpensee in Innsbruck, Austria. It looks like this in winter, pretty much now. And a specialty about the Alpensee is that it only hosts alpine species, so species from the European Alps. And a lot of these are endangered species or species at risk, as you can see here. And we have contributed over the decades that the Alpensee has existed in many rewilding and conservation efforts, for example, for the bearded vulture, lynx, or many other species. So this is why the Bavarian pine vole, when we heard about this species, became one of our focus species because, as I already said, it only ever was reported in the Alpine region of Bavaria in Germany, which is just across the border, and in Tyrol, which is my province, but only at very few occasions. So in Germany, as I said, it was listed as extinct or lost, and in Austria as critically endangered. And there have been many monitoring efforts by local small mammal biologists that Alpensee has supported over the years, and that is how we became part of Reverse the Red with this species, because we are trying to not only find the animal, but also basically bring it back, breed it at our zoo, and also report it in further instances in the field through monitoring. This is this is basically the original site or near the original site where it was first discovered in Bavaria, in Germany, sorry. And this site no longer exists because there was a hospital built. So the species not only suffers from being rare, but also from habitat loss. And so the monitoring, which happens in these environments, is very, very difficult. But as you can hear, sometimes a small mammal runs into our traps. Wait 1 second. So after many years of monitoring efforts by small mammal experts, suddenly the species was rediscovered in sites in Bavaria and at the same time, more or less, also at sites in Austria. And that was a huge sensation. And that's how we came into the collaboration, because we are the only local zoo. And as I already said, we try to conserve alpine species. And so with a couple of founder individuals that were brought to us from the wild, very few individuals, we started breeding a reserve population, which has been, sorry, I'm skipping this, which has been quite successful. And how the fieldwork works is that first you put out camera traps and, sorry, I have to jump a little bit through. I cannot see my own preview, which is a little bit tricky. So I'm sorry if the slides are in a different camera to what in a different sequence to what I'm saying. So these are the camera traps that we put out in the wild. They have high resolution and also a short focus of about 1 meter pointing at the ground. So sometimes these animals run into the focus, and what we then do is we place live traps, and that is how we got the animals into our enclosures in the first place. With these camera traps, we also get a lot of lovely other pictures of endangered or rare species of the Alps, like various shrews or dormice, and insectivora or small carnivores and rare birds. However, with the Bavarian pine vol, it's very tricky to work because it has basically a very optically similar species that cannot be distinguished from it just by looking at cameras. So what we have to do is we have to do live trapping at the sites where the camera traps showed proof, and then we have to take a DNA sample of the pine vol to see which of the species it is. Yeah, and sometimes the luck is great, and it is actually the Bavarian pine vol that is caught. So this is how the animals were first kept in our zoo. Now the enclosures became much bigger. This is how we keep them at the moment, and they have successfully been breeding, which has been a huge success because we now have a population of about 30 to 35 animals in 8 zoos in 4 different countries. This is very important because it shows that not only do zoos collaborate extremely well, it's also been a very fast breeding success within these few years in which we basically knew nothing about this species. And the interest of other zoos in the region to preserve this critically endangered species is very high. And the collaborations work very well. And recently also this has been established into a formal breeding program by the European Association of Zoos and Aquaria. So this is something we are very proud of because it's also hosted at Alpen Zoo. And this is one of our breeding individuals. This is the list of zoos that are currently involved. And we are hoping for many other little offspring, as you can see here in those images. The interesting bit about the Bavarian pine vol is that it's not only the females that are taking care of the offspring, but also the males, which is some information that also wasn't known about the pine vol. So we're getting a lot of different experiences and expertises, like catching them, sexing them, caring for them, and breeding. Also, in terms of veterinary scans, there's a lot of interesting results and experiences that we've made, like the first ever CT scan of a pine vol. We've recorded their activity patterns throughout the day and night because there's a lot of interest by scientists in the region. And we found out that their communication, so the sounds that they make, are not only in the audible range, in the range audible to us, but also in the ultrasound range, which is, for example, audible to cats, as you can see on this scale. I'll skip this. This is me and the colleagues who are working in the field in Bavaria. It's quite advanced because the colleagues are also actually clearing some sites to re-establish forest habitat in which the Bavarian pine vol can hopefully live better than in the areas that are not cared for, that have been slightly overgrown. Sorry, let me skip a few of these because they're not so relevant. So this is the kind of habitat that we're dealing with when we're placing the camera trap. And if you look at the very center of the picture, I'm not sure you can see my cursor, there is a camera trap standing here. And this is my colleague in the field who has been placing the camera traps. So it's a very exhausting environment to work in and very challenging for the Bavarian pine vol. So we are very proud that this year we could actually report some images of pine voles in the new sites that we have monitored. So we've been monitoring at about 30 sites. I'm just showing you an excerpt here, and at 3 of these sites, which are fairly close together and also fairly close to the original finding site, the pine vole has been reported. We are just not yet sure. Sorry, more field photos. This is one of the images. We are just not yet sure whether it's actually the Bavarian pine vole or, as I mentioned earlier, the one that is the lookalike species, the European pine vole. So what we will be doing early next year is we will be doing live capture and DNA sampling. And hopefully also, whoops, sorry. Hopefully also contributing to the breeding. Now, what we've also been very successful with is raising awareness in the region and also internationally with this species. So we've been approached by many landowners because they may have found pine voles in their homes or on their properties. Which is very nice because it shows to us that publicity really works for this species. At Alpenzoo, we are also running an IUCN Center for Species Survival for Small Mammals together with the IUCN Species Survival Commission and the Small Mammal Specialist Group, and a transnational protection initiative between Austria and Bavaria to save the species. As part of this initiative, we've recently held a workshop of the stakeholders, which are the forestry agencies of Bavaria and of Austria, and then regional governments, the monitoring agency, and several other stakeholders. And yeah, as a summary, we brought you also a little surprise. I hope this works. So this is one of the individuals at Munich Zoo, where we've recently shared a female with, and they have recently had offspring. So we have good hopes that our population in zoos will continue to increase. Show it to you again because it's very cute.
Nora, I don't think you are sharing your screen anymore.
Am I not? Oh my God. I'm sorry. I've been talking,
Okay.
talking and looking at a very cute video. Sorry. Hope it works now.
Perfect. There you go.
Great.
But you're in presenter mode, so
yes,
if you
yes.
wanna,
Thanks.
yeah. Perfect. There you go.
So here's the Bavarian pine vole for you. That is living at our colleague zoo in Munich. They have a very nice enclosure on show for the public, and basically that's it. So yeah, so great successes of this project are that we're really managing to raise the profile of this vole, who are usually not so popular, to a very popular and cute species that people are interested in. They want to learn about it. They are looking for it. They contact us. So our outreach is also working because they know who to turn to when they have questions about the species. We are having the successes with breeding and with the international recognition of our breeding program. And yeah, so, and we also have international interest, for example, through EU funding from the European Commission, directly or indirectly, and transnational success for this species. So we hope the progress is going to continue and also expand to other small mammal species to save more critically endangered species. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nora. That was wonderful. And yes, echoing Megan, what an adorable little creature. We have a couple questions for you. I will hold all the questions until the end. So just in case Pablo also says something that sparks further discussion, and then we can have all the information before we chat together. So thank you to Nora, and Pablo, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Hi everyone. My name is Pablo. I'm from Fundación Temaiken, Argentina. And today I'm going to share with you our experience with a plant called Mentita. It's Edeoma tejuquarensis. But first I'm going to share with you who are we. I work for a foundation that called an NGO called Fundación Temaiken, that its mission is to protect nature. To reach this mission, we have three components that are a rescue center, a biopark, and we have a natural preserve in Misiones that I'm going to talk a little bit later about that. But also we have an alliance with the IUCN Species Survival Commission with Fundación Temaiken, and they create the Center for Survival Species Argentina. In that center, we promote the Access Plan Act initiative, and we work together alongside that initiatives. Well, as I said, Fundación Temaiken have a component that it's called Osonunu Reserve. It's a little reserve that it's located in Misiones, Argentina. Here is a map of Argentina. Temaiken, it's based, the biopark and the center and rescue center is in Buenos Aires. That there is in green and bright green, but Osununu Preserve is in the northeast near Brazil and Paraguay. That pink, light pink in the right up. Misiones, Osununu is located in Misiones in the south, where is a peninsula called Tejuquare. And here in this peninsula, we have a lot of preserves, different preserves. We have private preserves and national preserves and provincial preserves. We have a corridor there where we work together with another preserves to protect nature there. In this area, it's a particularity that we have a Cerrado relic from the Brazilian Cerrado region, and there we have a hotspot of endemic plants right there. Here is a little it's a photo of the Cerrado, how it looks. You can see it's like a bushy and grassland and bushy area, but it's more like grasslands. In that Cerrado, we can find these beautiful plants. They are all endemics to that area. To the Reverse Red Accelerator Award finalists, we promote the Edeoma tejuquarensis, that is these white flowers that I have here. It's a mint species. It smells like a mint. It's beautiful. But we say that it's an umbrella for another species because they live all together on the same area. And all these species are with the same other endangered. The most endangered is Edeoma. That's what we promoted. And in nature, we have only one individual right there. We are conducting some plantations and research in the area, but originally it's one individual now in the area. And you can see that we have a little bit of biodiversity of plants. There also we have palms and this mint. These species have some threats in these areas. We have fires in these areas and ecosystems. The fires could be ally or enemy. Some of these plants need fires to spread their seeds or germinate or do the germination. We have like wildfires, and that cause a lot of threat there. We have an extraction of certain plants, medicinal plants, and resistance of solid waste. We also have fragmentation. There, it's imagine that it's like a flat space in the middle of the forest, and the tourism and sports they want to make rally pits and marathon pits there, and it's a place that is plain, and they want to build houses, and it's like a precious area for that also. We have landfills, illegal landfills, and we have invasive exotic species like pine trees, and some exotic grasses like Urocloa, that are African exotic grasses. Also, we have the peculiarity that these plants they were not assessed by the IUCN Red List, and they are plants and they are not to they have they are plants, and they are not no show a lot of there are plants. Well, what we do and what we are doing now. Well, we conduct with the IUCN South American Specialist Group, Plant Specialist Group, an assessment of this plant. We gave the red list, they assessed the categorization. We are now waiting for the response of the red list unit for this workshop. We work together with the Center for Surviving Species to conduct this assessment. We also meet all the stakeholders working in the area, the other private reserves, the community, the politics that works there, and all. We made the assessment of these plants. There were 16, and one of that 16 was the Dioma teshucuarensis that we are talking today. We also promote the regulation and legal protection, and in the municipal and provincial at the state. We here in Argentina we have legal protection that is called a monument, and we promote it as a monument, this species also. Also, we promote the conservation lands that other NGOs and governments made reserves, private or municipal or provincial reserves, to make that corridor stronger and give more protection to that species plants. We also are working on ex situ conservation in the nursery of the native of the endemic species. We have our greenhouse in our preserve in Osununu. There we made propagation. As plants, we can make propagation by seeds or vegetatives. And with Edeoma teshucuarensis, the vegetative propagation go really well, but with seeds it's difficult to know how the germination goes, and that's we get in touch with the botanical gardens and with the technicians of the National Institute of Agriculture of Argentina, and we gave them seeds, and we start to develop a husbandry and germination protocols for this species. Oh, sorry. Then we restore the lands. The landfills we turn into viewers. Then we also mitigate the threats of the pines, and we extract the pines plantation that invades the area of this species, and the more difficult the grasses, because the grasses are like too similar to our plants, and they are it's too mechanical and have to be so you have to be have the know-how how to do it. We have rangers that identify quite well which plants have to take. And we start with population reinforcement. We are conducting some studies and keeping on the eye which species go well in that area. Also, we are working on the schools and the community on awareness and outreach. We work on schools with some with the children and all the year. And at the end of the year, we made a fair when there we can talk a little bit. The community talk about the species and their species, and they start knowing them. Then this year we are going to make also a conservation planning workshop for the endemic plants of this area. As I said, we work with the assess, plan, and act components. We already assessed the plants. Now we are going to move to the plan component. And in this year, in April, we are going to meet again with the stakeholders, and we are going to make a plan to align our efforts, because we are doing quite well, but we are working separately. With this plan, we are going to measure our efforts and align our efforts also. Well, this was a little bit of our work. We have an amazing team there working on field. Thank you to all.
Thank you so much, Pablo. Excellent job. Excellent work. All right. So just again for our audience, if you have Q&A questions, please put those in the Q&A chat. I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin now to give us some more information about the Species Pledge. Caitlin.
Okay, great. Thank you. So like Kathy said, my name's Caitlin, and I'm the Species Impact Coordinator at Reverse the Red. So let me just get this full screen. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Species Pledge. You've heard from two pledge makers just now and their amazing conservation work. So I'll get more into what a Species Pledge is. So this all comes from the idea that there's so many people doing amazing conservation work across the world, working with species from, least concern to extinct in the wild. And we kind of get in silos, and maybe we don't know who's working on the same species or a similar taxa, but on the other side of the world. So we created the Species Pledge. It's a database. You can see the map here, but it's not all boring. We're trying to find out who's doing what actions across the world for species. We're identifying gaps where maybe there's a critically endangered species that doesn't have anyone working on it. And we're also trying to increase collaboration between governments and on-the-ground conservation practitioners. So in that video at the very beginning on Reverse the Red, they talked about Target 4, so halting extinctions and recovering species. So we're trying to collaborate with governments to do that work. So what is the Species Pledge really? It's a commitment to action aimed towards the recovery of wild populations. It's a short 5-10 minute form that captures your current or planned work with a specific species. You can do a private pledge, so we can connect you if you wish to other people, or you can have a public pledge, which on our website shows your organization name, species, country, and conservation actions. All of this, again, helps us map global conservation action and align efforts towards halting extinctions and recovering species. So why would you make a species pledge? Why would you take that 10 minutes? You're part of this global action to help recover species around the world. The Reverse the Red Network loves to share species pledge stories, so getting that international recognition. I mentioned the Target 4, the national alignment, so connecting with your government on Target 4 with the species you work with. There's that increased collaboration part as well, so you can let me know if you can email me at any time, and let me know if you want to meet some other pledge makers, and I can reach out to them. Finally, there's access to funding. So Pablo said in he's a Reverse the Red Accelerator Award finalist. We have the Accelerator Award every year. It's launching on March 2nd this year. It's 15,000 US plus storytelling and strategic support. It's for endangered, critically endangered, and extinct in the wild species. So look out on the Reverse the Red social media channels for more information as that comes. So what makes a good pledge? A strong pledge should commit actions that have measurable conservation impact. So we're contributing to growing those wild populations, or if you're in assessments, increasing knowledge to support protection. It should involve monitoring outcomes of your efforts. So you don't have to be directly monitoring, but at least have that data so that you know if you're affecting the population, the trend, or the distribution of the species. Following the species recovery action plan, if you have one. So not all species have one, but if you do, aligning your efforts with that. And finally, addressing key threats. So tackling those risks on the IUCN Red List can be your national or international, because we want to reverse the red for these species. All right, so the pledge has been around for about over a year now, but we're launching this week the Species Pledge web app. So now you can search pledges, you can search the database, you can do it by taxa, you can do it by species, you can do it by country. You can see what other people are doing. You can also edit your pledges. So if you made your pledge a year ago and it's changed, you're now doing recovery implementation or plan implementation, you can add that now. And again, you can send a request to me if you want to meet someone who does something similar to you. So please visit pledge.reversethered.org, or you can use this QR code too. So finally, make a pledge today. If you have them, great. Take a look at the new system. See what other people are doing. And if you want to learn more, we have a tutorial session on February 19th. So you can use that QR code again, or I'm sure it will be in the chat as well if you want to learn more about how to make a pledge. We'll be doing that in a couple weeks. Again, email me if you have any questions, and thank you again for all the work that you do for conservation.
Thank you, Caitlin. Very exciting stuff. Pablo and Nora, I will bring you back now so that we can have a conversation about your projects. Thank you to those who've put questions in the chat. I'm going to start with one for Pablo. Nora, I noticed you already responded to the one specific to you. So Pablo, do you find that the open range habitat is undervalued when compared to other systems? For example, in Canada, the prairie ecosystem is often looked down upon, especially as opposed to tourist interest places like mountains or beaches. How do you share the joy of the ecosystem you're trying to conserve? And have you found any effective messaging to inspire a social or psychological shift in values?
Well, we work a lot with the community. First of all, they are our first line. They are working on that areas. I missed to mention that there are also live communities of Aborigines communities with that's called Guarani and Guaranis that use that places also for the community uses, and they use for hunting and also for eating some species of plants. And we work a lot with the governments, and we have a quite well relationship with them. We try to do the best relationship because they are the policymakers, and we need to give the best information for that to keep that place that it is. we also work with the private their sector because
Mm,
they have their promoting they have a camping area and promote these marathons that take place on that area also, and we start talking with the owners of that private place, and they turn all that in private reserve area, and it's like you have to be there. This was a work of 20 years. We now the
mm.
preserve is it's 20 years old, and it's like working on the area and with the stakeholders to prevent all that.
Yeah. Sounds like, I mean, the key there is the long-term relationships and just,
Yeah, and keeping it.
these social and
It's not
psychological
easy.
shifts don't happen overnight.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And working with the little ones, and owning the species, and knowing and owning species from the community because they are their species, and they
Yes.
have to know it also.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're speaking my
Yeah.
language. It's all very critical stuff. I have a few questions for both of you. So, what motivated you to focus on these species? What's your personal why when which I think is really important because all of this can get really hard. So I want to know what your personal story is here.
Nora, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. I really like weird species that are underrated somehow. And I think just every species on the planet is amazing, right? And so I find it very important that there are no species that are less loved than others in a way. So knowing that the Bavarian pine vole is a vole, voles are usually not very popular because people think, oh my God, they're messing up my garden and they're eating all the veggies and the flowers but this is so first of all, that's nature. But also this specifically critically endangered vole species that only occurs in the Alps is very special, and I think it's very easy to love. It's very cute, and I think it's a great, as Paulo also mentioned, it's a great umbrella species because if you look at one species in the Alps, which is a very sensitive environment in terms of climate change and habitat loss and many other issues, if you can save one by improving and protecting its habitat, you will automatically save many other species. And if you can select such a cute species, why not?
Why not? Pablo, what about you? What's your why?
Well, extinction is forever, and we are here working with species that we have one individual on the territory, and talking with doing these works, the people start knowing that plants also extinct. They only knows that animals stink, but plants they don't realize it.
Mm,
And with that, we have a lot of work to do here. The word that I missed was charismatics. They're not charismatic. We have to put a lot of effort of these species, like Nora said. We have to move the needle,
mhm,
and we have to talk. We have in every time, in every place we have to talk about the situation and the people. They are making changes on their habits with this species in the habitat. We have to involve them to move the
mm,
needle, and that's why I am here, and I would love to work with this for this challenge.
wonderful. I I'm going to play off what you were talking about just now about holistic. I think we've heard a lot about that today about holistic approaches to conservation that um choosing one discipline or one area to focus on is rarely going to be effective because the problems that are facing so many of these species, regardless of charisma level or taxa, are many, have a multitude of different impacts. And so I would love to hear how you and your project balance the natural sciences and the social sciences to provide a more holistic approach to conservation, or if you're not doing it now, how you wish you could uh, to get that holistic approach. Go for it, Pablo.
Yeah, we we work a lot with the children, as I said. We think that they are the future of this. We we let them to try. We let them work with the plants, with in the greenhouses. Uh, the science our rangers, our leaders are scientists, some biologists, and we in our NGO, in our foundation, we have one of the pillars, it's the education, and we all set our aims on there. It's sometimes it's difficult because you have to explain difficult things to children, but we have an excellent group here of educators, and they are always traveling, going to the schools, to the greenhouse. We promote these type of activities, and we put it in the territory and work on their hands.
Mm-hmm. You do have an excellent team at Temaiken.
Yeah,
Really,
thank you.
really wonderful folks.
Yeah.
Nora, what about you?
Yeah, similar to what Pablo said, I think it's really important to consider all interest groups, starting with small children, but also going into property owners, politicians, and in all kinds of different directions to get the interest of people and to also find out what is interesting for them to protect. So what is in their interest, and then how does the species or the environment that we work in meet that interest? So by preserving the species or environment, how do we meet the needs of the stakeholders? What's in it for them? I think that's very important. And kids get so easily excited about anything. They are so keen. They want to learn, what can I do? They love everything. It's so easy. You know, if you show them something amazing about a plant, they'll be hooked and they won't forget it. For them, really, it's easy to get them to love something. And I think one of the wisest sentences in conservation, there are two things. Conservation is not so much about species, but more about humans, because they are the ones conserving everything. And what we understand, we love, and what we love, we will protect. Right. So first, it's also important to understand, what are we dealing with? What is this species? What service is this species rendering? Maybe why would a tunneling vole be important to the environment? You know, because in the garden it just makes a mess. But why would it even be important to the garden? So try to change sometimes the perspective of a person to a species that they haven't loved before and get them to think a little bit differently about the species. I think we are very lucky to work in nature because everybody kind of loves and needs nature. But we also have to approach the people with positive arguments and then with actions that they can easily do without changing their entire lifestyle. Yeah, and so far I think it can really be done for every species. Every species worth loving, and we just have to try communicate with everyone as much as possible. So we also really use all channels, social media, the press, the radio, our zoo school, different zoos. We do podcasts. We try, we send reports. We work with scientists. So really dealing with all levels.
Yeah, I love that we are more accepting now of the idea that conservation is fundamentally a people problem and not an animal or a plant problem. And I love this idea of almost approaching it like a needs assessment. Like, how can we come to a mutually agreed upon solution that takes into account what everyday people know and love and want, and merge that with what our vision is for our future on the planet. And so I love the thinking about that as a collaboration and these audiences as co-collaborators or co-creators of this future instead of the conservationists being the one trying to project their image of the future onto the community. So thank you for your work in that. I have one more question. Well, I have several more questions, but one question I really want to make sure we talk about. So this is near and dear to my heart, being at the Columbus Zoo, having worked in zoos my entire life. You are both at zoos. What is your vision for how zoological institutions, zoos, aquariums, can lead in species recovery efforts over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
Do you want to go? Start? Okay.
Go for it,
For
Pablo.
me,
Yep.
it's super important. It's like it's a strategy that Sue has that, as I said, educational and for an exit to strategy for protecting and saving the species. We have to show and be totally open to the public to understand how we are reversing the red with these institutions. And I believe these spaces and all we can talk about, it's super important. And for me, it's gonna be crucial because we are the human beings killing the environment. And if we don't have environment, the species we have to try to reestablish that populations on new habitats, and the zoos are crucial in that.
Nora, what about you?
Yeah, thanks, Pablo. I think those are really important points. I also think that zoos already have a very important role to play in science and nature communication, in reaching out to general outreach to the public, awareness raising. We are lucky in that we have many visitors, so millions of people visit zoos every day, with their children. Children take their grandparents, so it's a generational mix. That's really good. There are still many people, I think, who don't see the value of zoos and conservation, and so we have to do better in showcasing and explaining what we do. We have to bring it to the people. We cannot expect them to come to us and ask all the questions because we already have the answers. So it's our onus to provide this information and spread it as much as we can and as clearly as we can. And at the same time, I think it's also very important to understand that we are not necessarily on everyone's agenda. A lot of institutions forget the important value of zoos and conservation, and it's also up to us to do our best as institutions and also as associations of different zoos in the different regions to approach policymakers in the field to make sure we are included in the agendas, in the implementation, in the reporting, in workshops, in discussions, and so on. Because many are not aware of the contributions we can make and of the scientific background that many zoo workers already have.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be done, and there's also a lot already in progress, which is very positive. It's a very exciting field.
It is. And I want to bring back one question from the chat that I'm sorry I didn't notice. Alexander, gracias por tu pregunta. I appreciate it and your patience. So Alexander wanted to know, his question is specifically about domestic cats and the trap neuter release, but I want to expand it more broadly because what that really speaks to is this kind of urban nature connection that we're doing this work within communities where, like we've talked about, people are living their everyday lives and domesticated creatures are coming into contact and sometimes conflict with the animals and plants and fungi that we're trying to preserve. So I don't know if either of you have any thoughts or comments or kind of, I know ruminations on this idea of the domestic wild interface and how we can work with communities to ensure that both domesticated animals are loved and cared for and respected while also preserving our natural habitats. Nora, I know you mentioned the vole sound overlaps with cats' hearing, so I'm wondering if you've ever experienced this.
Yeah, I want to show you one slide that I used recently in a presentation because I think it links to that topic.
Great.
Because I think it's very nice, and it also highlights how we can deal with this maybe. So it's just this. I showed this in a presentation about the Bavarian pine vole, and a lot of people have domestic cats, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of them are out in the wild, and is a sensitive topic because we, as conservationists and scientists, are highly aware that domestic cats that are free runners in nature have a high potential of taking vulnerable species, ground breeding birds, other birds, their offspring, and so on. And that's unfortunately just the case. So, and I think there are initiatives, and it's very important to be aware of this topic, but we will probably not be able to stop people from having domestic cats and for letting them run free. So one important thing is when the cat brings something home that is dead, it is often a very easy thing to simply put it in a Ziploc bag, pop it in the freezer, take a few photos of the whole animal and send it to your local zoo and say, is this something you need? Because DNA samples, preparations of animals, all of this might be important things that can be done. So at least if there is collateral damage done by cats, for example, they can often be used by scientific institutions. And we have to also work together with people. We can inform them when is a good time to let your cat out, when is not such a good season. Maybe you can keep it indoors a little bit or let it out a bit later, or there are timings for that. And yeah, just not, I think, not pushing it onto people what they have to do, but something that also works for them. Minimal changes with maximum efforts while staying friends.
Yes, I think this is such an interesting question because it speaks to that idea that conservationists have this bad rap of being disconnected from what people actually want or from what our communities, the life that they want to lead. And so meeting them in the middle, I think, programs like TNR can be very functional, but it sounds like, as you're saying, in combination with other behavioral factors and other educational interventions, not as a standalone. None of these solutions can stand alone. Oh my gosh, we're coming to the end of our time together. And so I want to turn it back over to Megan really quickly to close us out. But thank you. Mil gracias, Pablo and Nora. I'm sorry I speak better Spanish than German. So but thank you, Nora.
Thank you so much. It was an amazing session and a wonderful audience. Thank you for all your interesting questions and for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much. Yeah, thank you all for telling your stories, Nora, Pablo, Caitlin. Thank you for introducing the Species Pledge to everyone. And for all of you online, thank you so much for joining us. We do have more sessions every day this week leading up to Reverse the Red Day. So please find another topic to join us for. They're all different. There's all different stories happening throughout the week. So please join us again. And we would also love to share your story this Reverse the Red Day. So I had a link in the chat for the website that includes messaging and toolkits and graphics that you can use. Please tag Reverse the Red when you share on Saturday on Reverse the Red Day. And we would love to showcase your stories as well alongside these and the stories of all of the rest of our species pledges. So thank you all again so much. This is a wonderful conversation with really different, really awesome examples of accelerating species recovery.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day.